Have you ever questioned why some people's blood lacks a seemingly universal factor, a factor so common it's named after the rhesus monkey? This is not just a minor genetic variation. This is a potential key to unlocking the true origins of humanity, our hidden potential, and our connection to advanced civilizations lost to time. The anomaly of Rh-negative blood, with its unique characteristics and its seemingly inexplicable absence of the Rh factor, presents a fundamental contradiction to our understanding of human genetics and evolution. While most primates, including the majority of humans, possess the Rh factor, a protein found on the surface of red blood cells, a significant minority, those with Rh-negative blood, lack this very factor. This is not just a random mutation. It seems to not fit into the accepted models for how blood types have evolved. This peculiar situation creates the central paradox that we must now explore. How can a trait so widespread be completely absent in some, and what does that absence reveal about our past? Could it be that Rh-negative blood is not simply a quirk of nature, but a marker of a distinct lineage, a heritage that traces back to an extraterrestrial source or an advanced civilization that predates our conventional history? The commonly accepted story of human evolution posits a gradual development of our species through natural selection and genetic mutation. We are taught that blood types arose as a result of adaptation to different environments and dietary needs, with the Rh factor being a standard trait passed down through primate ancestry. However, the abrupt appearance of Rh-negative blood in the human population challenges this narrative, seeming to emerge from nowhere without any clear evolutionary path. Scientists and medical professionals have puzzled over the implications of this anomaly, noting the potential for maternal-fetal incompatibility, which could suggest that Rh-negative blood is not fully compatible with standard Rh-positive bloodlines. It introduces questions about genetic bottlenecks and the possibility of genetic manipulation or hybridization that occurred long ago. Have our textbooks conveniently omitted key facts that could forever alter our understanding of human origins? This oddity of Rh-negative blood serves as the very first thread in a tapestry that we will begin to weave today, a tapestry of suppressed history and hidden knowledge, a pattern we will revisit again and again. The implications of Rh-negative blood extend far beyond simple biological differences. What if it's a marker of a profound human potential that remains largely dormant? What if this bloodline connects to a forgotten lineage, perhaps stemming from ancient antediluvian civilizations or even beings from beyond this world? We see shared traits among those with Rh-negative blood. Many describe themselves as misfits, feeling different and not fully belonging to mainstream society. Is this simply an interesting anecdote, or is it an indicator of a deeper truth about the origins of those with this specific blood type? There's an urgency to understanding these origins, not just for the sake of historical accuracy, but also because of the potential impact this knowledge could have on our spiritual awakening and the full realization of our collective potential. The conventional scientific narrative, while logical and useful, does not fully account for these discrepancies and thus might be incomplete. What if our standard view of history is missing a crucial component? This is where we must look beyond mainstream science and history to discover a more complete picture. The knowledge of Rh-negative blood, its origins, and its potential impact on our understanding of the world could challenge established views of human history and spirituality. It could offer a new lens through which we view the very foundation of our civilization, our spiritual origins, and our place in the cosmos. This knowledge has the potential to disrupt established ideologies and provide a platform for a new understanding of our world and our human potential. The question then becomes, if this knowledge is so important, why is it not more widely known, studied, or understood? Why is this very real scientific and genetic anomaly not a common conversation in academic institutions, scientific publications, or mainstream news media? The very fact that these ideas are not a larger part of the conversation presents a very strange mystery that we must investigate. Could it be that some powerful entities have deliberately kept this information hidden for their own purposes, creating and maintaining a system of control? Is it possible that our textbooks and popular media are simply not telling the whole story? The implications of this hidden information are enormous, and it will be our task today to unearth what has been kept secret for so long. Before we continue, it is important to create a foundation for the claims we are about to make, so let's delve into the basic science of blood types, specifically the Rh factor. Most people, about 85% of the global population, possess this protein on their red blood cells and are therefore designated as Rh positive. This factor is also very common in primates, which is a key reason it was first discovered when scientists were studying rhesus monkeys. However, around 15% of the global population lack this factor and are labeled as Rh negative, marking a clear anomaly. When we explore this genetic oddity further, we will begin to see that it is much more than a scientific curiosity. Then let's turn our attention toward the idea of antediluvian civilizations, which are the pre-flood cultures that exist in our legends and myths. These ancient and lost worlds are often depicted as having achieved a level of technological, spiritual, and social sophistication that may surpass even our own. Sumerian and Egyptian history both speak of kings and gods that lived for ages before the Great Flood, in a time of advanced knowledge and human potential that has been lost to the modern world. The myths of many cultures in different parts of the world also speak of similar eras of giants and advanced races that were either lost or changed over time. If these civilizations existed, could they have held the key to the mysteries of our own origins? As we begin to weave these threads toward the genetic anomaly of Rh negative blood, the historical existence of lost civilizations, and the esoteric wisdom of ancient cultures, we start to see a pattern emerge. A pattern that supports the idea that human history is not as straightforward as we are led to believe. What if the advanced technologies and social structures of ancient civilizations were built by those with a unique genetic advantage, such as those with Rh negative blood? Could this bloodline be the key that connects these lost worlds with our modern era? What if the esoteric practices that seek to unlock human potential were created and developed by those from this unique bloodline, whose genetic structure might be more predisposed toward these types of experiences and practices? The idea that the very blood in our veins might hold secrets about human potential and spiritual evolution is a powerful one, and one that we will explore with as much precision as we can. By incorporating these different avenues of inquiry, we may begin to uncover a more complete picture of our true origins and our potential. It's becoming clear that the study of Rh negative blood is not just about understanding blood types. It's also about revealing a hidden history and the true nature of our collective human destiny. As we continue down this path of discovery, it is important to begin asking the hard questions. Why would such critical information about Rh negative blood and its implications for human history be suppressed or ignored? Are there powerful entities that have a vested interest in keeping us from understanding our true potential? Are these entities from our modern world, or might they be connected to these ancient civilizations we were just exploring? The idea that these patterns are not unique to our time, or that the control of information has been a long-standing practice, begins to create another layer of intrigue. What else is being kept from us? Could the answers to these questions be the very key to unlocking our full potential and achieving a higher level of consciousness? The possibility of using specific techniques or practices to tap into hidden abilities is something that will be explored in much more detail in later sections. By continuing our investigation, we will soon see that the mystery of Rh negative blood is much more than a simple scientific or historical curiosity. It is a key that might unlock our destiny and it will be our task to discover exactly what secrets this key can unlock. Let us now delve into the very heart of this genetic enigma, the precise biological uniqueness of Rh-negative blood. It is not simply the absence of the Rh factor protein, but also the presence of other distinct genetic markers that separate this blood type from the rest of humanity. These markers are not random or arbitrary. They seem to point to a different genetic origin, a separate blueprint that has somehow been introduced into the human genome. When scientists analyze the DNA of individuals with Rh-negative blood, they find a lack of the specific genetic sequences that code for the Rh factor protein, and this absence is consistent across all people with this blood type. This is not a simple mutation where a gene is altered. It is an actual lack of the genetic material that should be present. This is similar to taking a part out of a machine and seeing if it can still work. In addition to the absence of the Rh protein, there are specific genetic markers that are more common in Rh-negative individuals, markers that are not usually seen in the general population. These include certain mitochondrial DNA sequences that are not consistent with the commonly accepted models of human evolution, indicating a divergence point that is not adequately explained by current theories. These additional markers further emphasize that Rh-negative is not just a variation of the existing Rh-positive blood, but an entirely different genetic architecture altogether. The very fact that this blood type exists at all challenges our current scientific consensus. This presents a clear problem that mainstream science is attempting to solve, but the very nature of the problem makes this increasingly difficult. This is because it seems as if it doesn't really fit into any of the established models of human evolution or genetic transference. The standard scientific understanding of blood type inheritance operates through Mendelian genetics, a system where each parent contributes one allele for each trait, in this case, blood type. However, Rh-negative inheritance often doesn't follow these rules. If both parents are Rh-negative, the child will invariably be Rh-negative, a fairly consistent outcome. But what occurs when an Rh-negative mother carries an Rh-positive child? In this situation, the mother's immune system may recognize the Rh-positive fetus as a foreign invader and attack it, leading to severe complications during pregnancy or even a miscarriage. This incompatibility is not observed in other blood type mismatches, further emphasizing the unique nature of the Rh factor and the fact that this blood type is not quite as compatible with the rest of humanity as is generally assumed. This incompatibility is a strong indication that Rh-negative blood is not a mere variation, but a distinct genetic category. The fact that this can even occur challenges the entire idea of naturally occurring and compatible bloodlines and raises many fundamental questions about how and why this anomaly exists at all. It suggests that this blood type is a newcomer to the human gene pool, or it has been kept separate for a very long time. The medical complications arising from this Rh factor difference only serve to amplify the strangeness of the Rh-negative trait, marking it as a significant departure from the expected norms of human biology. It poses the question of how could nature create an incompatibility that would jeopardize the life of both mother and child. A question with no easy answer in our current medical understanding of evolution and blood type inheritance. This brings us to theories about the possible origins of Rh-negative blood. While the mainstream scientific narrative suggests random mutation, the data does not quite fit the story. It is more reasonable to explore the possibility of genetic manipulation or hybridization in the distant past. Let's look at genetic engineering as an idea, though it's not a popular scientific position. We know that we are currently capable of modifying genes with tools like CRISPR, so why could ancient advanced civilizations or even extraterrestrial beings not have the capacity to do the same? If we look to nature, we can see that hybridization is not uncommon. Animals of different species can breed, sometimes producing new traits that would not otherwise appear through simple mutation. Could a similar process have occurred with human ancestors long ago? What if Rh-negative blood was introduced through a deliberate act of genetic engineering, an attempt to create a new kind of human? Perhaps beings from another world or highly advanced ancient peoples saw the value in this genetic anomaly and sought to incorporate it into a select group of humans. The very idea that such an intervention could have occurred in the past is not as far-fetched as it might seem, especially considering that we are now capable of the same types of processes. The simple fact that it is now possible should at least make us ask if this type of event could have occurred in our distant past. The distribution of Rh-negative blood also challenges the idea of random mutation. If this trait was a mere quirk of nature, it would be expected to be distributed randomly across the globe. But that's not what we see. Instead, we find high concentrations of Rh-negative populations in specific geographic pockets, including parts of Europe, especially around the Basque region, and certain Middle Eastern communities and the Americas. These specific concentrations suggest that the blood type was not randomly distributed, but actively introduced into certain populations. It is as if the Rh-negative gene was purposely seeded into these specific groups. Why would it be so prevalent in some populations and almost non-existent in others if it's just a random occurrence? This uneven distribution pattern supports the idea that Rh-negative is not simply a natural human variation, but a trait with a distinct and perhaps engineered origin. To make this point clear, it's helpful to consider that the Basque people of Europe have the highest concentration of Rh-negative blood types in the entire world, with some reports suggesting 30% or higher of that population having this genetic anomaly. This single data point makes the standard accepted view of blood types difficult to maintain. Is it not more plausible to consider an external intervention rather than rely on a random mutation that happened to occur in this one very specific location? The established biological explanation for blood types, based on adaptation and mutation, simply cannot fully account for the unique characteristics and distribution of Rh-negative blood. The incompatibility issues, the specific genetic markers, and the non-random geographical patterns all suggest that we must look further for answers. While the conventional scientific community continues to cling to the idea of random mutation, it is becoming increasingly clear that this explanation is insufficient. What if our modern understanding of genetics is incomplete, or that we've missed a key element of the equation? What if the accepted version of human history is deliberately flawed? By clinging to a simple explanation, we may be ignoring the real truth. This is where our pattern of questioning common reality begins to become critical. We are presented with a very clear and distinct anomaly, and the mainstream explanation doesn't quite fit the data. Could it be that some powerful entities have suppressed the true origins of Rh-negative blood? Perhaps our modern textbooks are not presenting a complete picture of our past. Perhaps this suppression is not accidental. Perhaps what we think we know about the origins of our species is simply a well-crafted illusion. This tension between what is known and what is possible is where the real truth often resides, and this is where we must focus. Now, let us shift our focus to another critical piece of our puzzle, the lost civilizations of our ancient past. There is a growing body of historical and archaeological evidence suggesting that highly advanced civilizations existed before the accepted timelines, civilizations that were capable of feats that seem impossible even by today's standards. These are not primitive tribes, these are sophisticated societies that may have even surpassed our current scientific and technological levels. Consider the megalithic structures found all over the world, structures like the pyramids of Giza, the temples of Baalbek, and the statues of Easter Island. These structures consist of stones weighing hundreds or even thousands of tons that were moved and assembled with a precision that is still hard to replicate with modern technology. How could ancient cultures, supposedly without advanced tools or engineering expertise, have achieved such feats. Mainstream archaeology struggles to account for these massive stone monuments and how they were built. It is difficult to find adequate explanations when operating under the confines of conventional human history. These sites seem to defy our modern understanding of human capabilities and technology, making it necessary to consider the possibility of a civilization that was much more advanced than we have been taught. Furthermore, there are various ancient artifacts that have been discovered that display evidence of advanced technologies, tools, and knowledge that do not align with the generally accepted timeline of human development. The Antikythera mechanism, found in an ancient shipwreck, is a complex astronomical calculator that could not have been built with the technologies of its supposed era. Then there is the Baghdad battery, which appears to have been an ancient electrical cell. These are just a few of the many examples of objects that do not fit into the common human historical narrative. These discoveries suggest that at some point in the past, there was a level of technological sophistication that was far beyond what we are led to believe. The very existence of such artifacts challenges our accepted version of history and raises the question of what happened to these advanced cultures. What cataclysm caused their technologies and knowledge to disappear, or at the very least become hidden from mainstream science and common knowledge? When we see that the very tools that were used are just as mysterious as how these ancient cultures achieved such feats, we can begin to truly question the narratives that we have all been taught in school. It's also very important to explore the concept of lost knowledge and the possibility of a global cataclysmic event that destroyed these civilizations. Many ancient cultures, from the Sumerians and Egyptians to the Mayans and the Greeks, share stories of a great flood, a cosmic event that wiped out much of human civilization. These flood stories aren't just isolated myths. They appear in cultures that are geographically separated across the planet, all with similar core details, pointing to the possibility of a shared historical trauma. These floods are often described as being part of a cycle of destruction and renewal, with old worlds being washed away to make way for new ones. Could these stories be memories of an actual global catastrophe that wiped out much of the knowledge and technology of these advanced civilizations and reset human civilization to a more primitive state? This is not just about floods, though. There are other ancient myths that speak of other types of catastrophes, such as global fires and even pole shifts that drastically altered the surface of the Earth. Could it be that these myths are actually historical records of actual events that have been passed down through the ages? The idea that such a cataclysm occurred is also supported by evidence of advanced technologies and then a sudden decline in progress in various archaeological sites. The fact that some of these cultures seem to have appeared almost fully formed and then just disappeared completely presents a great mystery. The common idea that these cultures gradually developed over time is hard to maintain when we look at the archaeological record, which seems to indicate very rapid advancements followed by very rapid disappearances. Is it not more logical to consider that these cultures were advanced and then, for some unknown reason, simply vanished? What if the loss of this knowledge was not an accident, but something deliberately orchestrated by some entity or group? What if a new culture was built upon the ruins of a previous one and has maintained the control of information to this day? It begins to make more sense to explore this angle. These lost civilizations serve as a clear and distinct marker that there are huge gaps in our accepted story of human history. And this idea is not without merit. The evidence is all around us. With this new understanding of lost and advanced civilizations, it is now more important than ever to see the possible connection between these advanced cultures and those with Rh-negative blood. Could it be that the descendants of these pre-Diluvian civilizations are the very ones who carry this unique genetic marker? The idea that Rh-negative blood is a marker of a very specific lineage, one that traces back to these ancient cultures, becomes ever more plausible. The fact that these ancient cultures may have had the technology to alter genetics and also knew about the spiritual and physical properties of blood, as shown in their medical practices and writings, begins to build the case that there is a very clear connection between these advanced groups, the Rh-negative blood type, and the idea that this knowledge was lost and then hidden from the rest of humanity. Ancient stories often speak of royal bloodlines that are described as being different, more powerful, or more connected to the gods, with many of them being the specific bloodlines that are said to have ruled these ancient civilizations. What if these are not just allegories, but actual references to very specific genetic markers, such as Rh-negative blood? When we consider the power structure in the majority of ancient cultures, where a ruling class or royal family was considered a cut above the common man, we begin to see a clear pattern, which also links to modern power structures as well. These ancient myths and legends often associate different blood types with different powers, abilities, and traits. Some bloodlines were said to be closer to the divine, with enhanced intelligence, spiritual sensitivity, or even psychic powers. Could these stories be veiled references to the very real genetic differences that exist between Rh-negative and Rh-positive individuals? It begins to seem more plausible when we consider these stories and the consistency of the stories across different cultures as something more than simple allegories. It is also interesting to note that the idea of blue bloods, referring to royals, might be a reference to a specific type of blood, one that is associated with advanced capabilities and genetic anomalies, or even a literal blood type difference. This idea is important because we are not just looking at random stories, we are beginning to see clear patterns begin to form that link genetics, history, and even spiritual power, which begins to bring us into the realm of esoteric perspectives. These bloodlines, as described in many of these stories, were not just ruling for the sake of power. They were acting as the stewards of knowledge and technology, keeping those secrets hidden from those who were not deemed capable or responsible enough to manage that information. This, again, ties directly to our modern-day power structures, which seems to follow a very similar pattern. By continuing this pattern of questioning the common narrative, we find ourselves coming closer to a possible truth about our origins, and this is a position where we can begin to discuss esoteric and hidden wisdom. It is here that we must now turn to the esoteric perspective, the ancient wisdom traditions that often speak of hidden truths about the nature of reality and our place within it. The idea of blood as a carrier of ancestral information and a conduit for spiritual power is a core concept in many of these esoteric teachings, especially the Hermetic and Gnostic principles. These traditions view blood not just as a biological fluid, but also as a carrier of memory, ancestral traits, and also spiritual energies. What if our very blood is the key to unlocking our true potential? These traditions teach that the physical world is a reflection of the spiritual realm, and that our very bodies are temples that house these divine energies. The Hermetic concept of as above, so below suggests that the very structure of our physical bodies mirrors the structure of the cosmos. This idea, when applied to blood, suggests that our blood carries within it the codes and information that connect us to the very source of all existence. It is therefore a type of link to our ancestors and also our lineage, which is why it has been regarded as so sacred by many different cultures and religious traditions. The idea of using blood in ritual or in ceremony is not just random. It speaks to this very same idea of accessing the power and wisdom that is stored within. Furthermore, esoteric traditions such as Kabbalah, alchemy, and Gnosticism might offer alternative interpretations for the origins and significance of Rh-negative blood. The Kabbalistic tree of life, with its complex system of sephirot and pathways, can be seen as a map of consciousness, and the concept of blood can be viewed as a reflection of these cosmic energies. Alchemy, with its focus on transmutation and purification, can be interpreted as a process of altering our own internal and physical structure to become closer to our true potential, and the spiritual properties of blood are also often at the very heart of alchemical processes. Gnosticism, with its emphasis on hidden knowledge, offers a perspective that could help us understand why the significance of Rh-negative blood might have been concealed from mainstream consciousness for so long. The fact that all of these traditions, though unique, share a central concept of the importance of blood and its connection to higher powers cannot be overlooked. The very idea of a philosopher's stone could in fact be an alchemical understanding of the very structure of blood and the energetic principles that are held within. We can begin to see how these esoteric concepts are mirroring the very genetic principles we were exploring previously. It is also very important to consider that ancient mystery schools and secret societies could have preserved the hidden knowledge of Rh-negative blood and its implications. These schools often had very strict initiatory processes, with knowledge being revealed in stages to only certain individuals. It's possible that they were the very guardians of this knowledge, and that this knowledge has been passed down through specific bloodlines through the ages. These mystery schools often employed complex rituals and initiations, practices that would alter their states of consciousness and allow them to tap into hidden potentials that were beyond the reach of the common man. What if the control of this knowledge was carefully guarded by those with this specific blood type, and that the reason it is not widely understood is because it has been kept hidden, not just from the general population, but also from those who were not deemed ready to receive it? The very idea that secret societies and mystery schools might be the keys to unlocking this type of hidden information is not as far-fetched as it might seem, considering they exist to this day and have maintained a consistent and unbroken line of tradition for thousands of years. It's possible that the answers we are looking for have been there all along, locked in these hidden lineages of wisdom, just waiting to be rediscovered. By interweaving the threads of science, history, and esotericism, we can begin to see a very clear and distinct picture. The genetic anomalies of Rh-negative blood, the historical evidence of lost civilizations, and the esoteric teachings about the spiritual nature of blood are not isolated concepts. They all point to a single underlying truth. The fact that multiple systems of thought from science, history, religion, and magic can all point to the same conclusions should demonstrate that these ideas are more than just random speculation. These ancient texts, in their esoteric language, are actually speaking of biological processes. The fact that these ancient wisdom traditions also seem to be describing genetic anomalies before the advent of modern science is another piece of evidence that supports our claims. This should also make it clear that there may be hidden dimensions to the commonly accepted views, which could indicate that our evolution is not just a physical process, but also a spiritual and energetic one. It is now more important than ever to take this knowledge into consideration and to also begin to find ways to make it usable. These connections reveal not just a hidden history, but also a hidden path to the very evolution of our consciousness and personal transformation. We are now at the point where we can begin to see the bridge between these esoteric theories and the practical applications, showing how the knowledge of Rh-negative blood is key to unlocking the hidden potential that resides within each of us. The knowledge we have discussed up to this point is not just theoretical, it is also actionable. This should not just be information to be passively absorbed, but a powerful set of principles that can be applied to your everyday life. The idea that your very blood might hold the secrets to your destiny is one that should inspire you to investigate further. The idea that the information we've just covered can be used to unlock dormant abilities is not just a wild claim. It is a possibility, one that should be explored with the same urgency that it was presented. This is where we will begin to transition into practical methods for accessing your hidden abilities, beginning with an exploration of genetic and spiritual activation. The concept of genetic and spiritual activation suggests that certain practices and techniques can awaken the dormant abilities that are associated with Rh-negative blood and the other unique genetic traits we have discussed. This is more than just physical, it's also energetic and spiritual, and by understanding how our ancestors lived and what they practiced, we can more easily access the power that they had and that we still share. By connecting to this lost wisdom, we are beginning to connect with ourselves, which is a key step in any type of self-mastery and personal transformation. The very fact that some bloodlines have maintained this understanding of their own potential gives an idea of what is actually possible and provides a clear path forward for any individual who wishes to walk that path. The ability to activate your own genetic heritage is not just about physical changes, but also about spiritual and emotional transformations, as well as tapping into the power and wisdom that is stored in our very DNA. This is why self-mastery and personal transformation are directly tied to understanding and activating your genetic heritage, especially if you carry the Rh-negative marker. It's not just about acknowledging the past, but also about stepping into your own full potential. By engaging in specific practices, you can begin to experience real and tangible results in your own life. The journey of self-discovery is a journey of reclaiming your power, understanding your origins, and realizing the very potential that you carry within. By exploring the ancient knowledge and blending it with a modern understanding of science, we are in the unique position to begin activating our own potential in ways that were previously thought to be impossible. What we are on the cusp of beginning is nothing less than the next stage of human evolution. You now have the tools to engage in your own personal journey of awakening, using the wisdom we've just explored as a guiding light. The practical steps we are about to explore will be a direct pathway to unlocking the full potential that resides within you. The key to your own empowerment lies in reclaiming this knowledge and taking responsibility for your own personal evolution. It's about recognizing that your potential is not limited by your current beliefs or your understanding of the world, but by actively engaging with the tools and techniques that are about to be shared. The very act of understanding your own history and the potential encoded in your genes can be a catalyst for profound change, not just in your personal life, but also in the world around you. You are not just a passive observer, you are an active co-creator of your own reality, and this is why it is now critically important to engage in these practices. The information that has been presented up to this point provides a clear pathway for you to begin your personal journey, and it is now time to step into your potential. Remember, the power to change is not just external, it is also internal, and it is up to each of us to begin to unlock this power for ourselves and also for the collective. As we move into the next section, we will be providing the specific details and methodologies for this very type of activation, which will show you a real and tangible way forward on your journey. The convergence of scientific anomalies, the historical evidence of advanced antediluvian civilizations, and the esoteric principles regarding blood as a vehicle for spiritual power all point to a single, undeniable conclusion. Rh-negative blood is not a random mutation, but a distinct marker of a specific lineage. This lineage is directly tied to pre-Diluvian cultures and potentially even beings from another world. The genetic inconsistencies we explored, including the lack of the Rh factor protein and the unique mitochondrial DNA sequences, challenge the mainstream narrative of human evolution. The archaeological record, with its megalithic structures and advanced artifacts, provides tangible evidence of sophisticated pre-flood civilizations, and esoteric traditions, with their emphasis on the spiritual significance of blood, offer a framework for understanding the deeper implications of this unique genetic marker. These seemingly disparate fields of knowledge actually converge, revealing a narrative that has been deliberately suppressed for far too long. This synthesis completes the puzzle we began with, providing a coherent explanation for the initial mystery of Rh-negative blood, and also challenging the commonly accepted understanding of human origins. It's time to acknowledge that the conventional scientific consensus may not hold all the answers. By contrasting the mainstream perspective on human origins with the evidence presented throughout this video, we see a clear inadequacy in the accepted models, especially when it comes to genetics and the true history of humanity. The idea that we are all simply products of random mutations struggles to account for the specific anomalies of Rh-negative blood, its geographical distribution, and its incompatibility with Rh-positive blood types. The scientific community's explanations fall short when faced with these inconsistencies, as the concept of random mutation is difficult to maintain in the face of the overwhelming evidence for specific seeding of Rh-negative blood within certain communities. The common idea that human evolution is a linear process also fails to account for the advanced technologies and knowledge possessed by antediluvian civilizations, which suddenly disappeared from the archaeological record. The scientific dogma that is based on a simple and linear progression simply cannot accommodate these historical or genetic anomalies, thereby creating an incomplete understanding. The Rh-negative anomaly, as well as the evidence of lost advanced cultures, demonstrates that we must consider alternative explanations for our origins, and for the reasons that this information has been hidden from common understanding. The interwoven threads of genetics, history, and esoteric wisdom all point to the same central idea. Rh-negative blood is an indication of a very special lineage, one that carries unique capabilities and a deep connection to an ancient heritage. The genetic markers, which show a lack of certain genetic codes, align with the historical records of ancient advanced civilizations, as well as esoteric concepts regarding blood as a carrier of spiritual power. The very fact that these ancient traditions recognized the power of blood, often using it in rituals and ceremonies, shows that they were aware of something beyond our current understanding, indicating the possibility of a deliberate genetic manipulation or intervention. The physical evidence of these ancient cultures mirrors the genetic evidence in that both show a deviation from the commonly accepted understanding of the origin of humanity, with the esoteric traditions acting as a bridge that links these physical anomalies to our own spiritual potential. By looking at these ideas from multiple perspectives, we can begin to see how the different realms of knowledge actually support a much deeper understanding of complex concepts, and that these concepts can be understood from not only a scientific perspective, but from a historical and spiritual one as well. This is a much more complete view of our place in the universe, and a more comprehensive view of the role that we must now step into. This understanding of Rh-negative blood shifts our perspective from seeing it as a mere anomaly to understanding it as a marker of hidden potential. Those with this blood type may possess enhanced intuition, psychic abilities, and a deeper connection to the spiritual realms. This knowledge is not meant to create separation, but to foster a deeper understanding of self and purpose. The very fact that this knowledge was suppressed, or at the very least, hidden from the majority of humanity, makes it even more important to understand. The unique genetic traits of Rh-negative individuals may very well be keys to unlocking untapped capabilities and dormant potential within all of us. By understanding that this potential exists, we can begin to see that the limitations we impose on ourselves are simply beliefs, and these beliefs can be changed. This transformation of understanding is the key to not only individual empowerment, but also collective advancement, as the acceptance of these new ideas will change how we interact with both ourselves and the world around us. This new perspective allows us to reclaim our sovereignty and step into our full potential, fully understanding that we are so much more than we have been led to believe. This information must also be framed within the broader context of a suppressed history and a deliberate manipulation of humanity. The fact that the significance of Rh-negative blood has been hidden aligns with larger patterns of control that have existed throughout human history. The suppression of knowledge regarding lost civilizations, advanced technologies, and esoteric principles is not a random occurrence. It is a deliberate act. Throughout history, there are numerous examples of historical records being altered, ancient texts being destroyed, and scientific discoveries being suppressed. This control of knowledge has always been a means of maintaining power, and it is a clear pattern that continues to this day. The suppression of the true origins of humanity, especially concerning the potential within specific bloodlines, serves to maintain this control, keeping humanity in a state of ignorance and dependence. By understanding this pattern, we can begin to see that the true history of our origins is a source of our freedom, and this freedom has been intentionally withheld from us. The reason behind this suppression is that a hidden power structure benefits from keeping the true origins of humanity and the immense potential of these specific bloodlines hidden. This elite or hidden power structure seeks to maintain control over the population through limiting beliefs, a materialistic worldview, and a constant state of fear and conflict. This suppression is not just about information, it is about limiting human potential, and it also serves to prevent the collective awakening of humanity. By controlling the narrative of our origins and our capabilities, they can effectively control our destiny. This deliberate suppression is a very clear indication of the power that this information possesses, and why there is such an intentional effort to keep it hidden. The very fact that they must expend resources to hide this information means that they are aware of its transformative power, and therefore, it should also be considered that this knowledge is the key to our collective freedom, and that it has been intentionally suppressed to keep us in a state of ignorance and dependence. The implications of this knowledge are profound. It shows that by understanding the true origins of Rh-negative blood and the potential associated with it, individuals can reclaim their sovereignty. This is not just about acknowledging our past, but about stepping into our full potential. By understanding our lineage, we can break free from limiting beliefs and the manipulated narratives that have kept us from realizing our true capabilities. This knowledge empowers each of us to take control of our own lives, to make conscious choices that align with our deepest values, and to create a future based on truth and freedom, rather than fear and dependence. The very act of understanding your origins can be a catalyst for profound change, both personally and collectively. This is about taking responsibility for your own evolution, by understanding that you possess far greater potential than you have been led to believe. The key to unlocking that potential is within you, and that key can now be used. Unlocking the potential associated with Rh-negative blood is a key aspect of self-mastery and spiritual awakening. This is not just an academic discussion, but a practical path to understanding and realizing our own unique capabilities and powers. The very fact that this knowledge has been kept from us shows its true importance. By understanding the genetic anomalies, the historical connections, and the esoteric concepts associated with this blood type, each of us can begin to connect with our own unique heritage. This connection is more than just a mental exercise. It is a process of activation that includes both the physical and spiritual realms. By engaging in specific practices, we can begin to unlock the dormant capacities that have been encoded within our very DNA. By blending ancient wisdom with modern knowledge, we are now in the unique position to embark upon a journey of self-discovery, self-mastery, and ultimately spiritual awakening, which is available to all of us if we choose to walk this path. The questions that we began with about the origins of Rh-negative blood and its implications are now clearly answered, and the evidence presented throughout this video provides a logical and coherent explanation that is based on multiple sources. We have clearly shown that Rh-negative blood is not a random mutation, but a marker of a very specific lineage that is connected to ancient civilizations or even other worlds. The genetic anomalies and incompatibilities of this blood type all point towards a deliberate act of manipulation or intervention. The historical evidence of advanced pre-flood cultures provides a context for understanding how this could have occurred, and the esoteric principles demonstrate that blood is indeed a conduit for spiritual power. This convergence of evidence makes it clear that the answers to these questions have been within our reach all along. We simply needed to look from a new and alternative perspective. This conclusion serves as a full stop to the questions we began with, and now we can move into an understanding of the next step in our journey. The convergence of science, history, and esotericism creates a holistic model for understanding our origins that goes far beyond the traditional, linear approaches to knowledge. The scientific anomalies are not just random quirks, they are genetic keys to our past. Historical evidence of lost civilizations is not just a myth, it's a tangible reality that reshapes our understanding of humanity's timelines. The esoteric traditions aren't simply symbolic allegories, they are practical methodologies that have been refined through the ages. The very fact that these different systems of thought all point towards a single conclusion indicates that our universe is much more integrated and complex than we have been led to believe. This idea requires us to move beyond the limitations of a single perspective, which allows us to more fully engage with the idea that different fields of knowledge can support each other, giving us an ever deeper understanding of our collective origins and the potential we all hold. This is a crucial step in moving from simple intellectual understanding to embodied personal experience. This new understanding of Rh-negative blood provides a clear pathway for each of us to move beyond the limitations imposed by the traditional views of human origins. This knowledge shows how those who carry this marker, and all of us collectively, can access our hidden potential, thereby enabling us to create a more harmonious and fulfilling life. This transformation goes beyond the simple understanding of our biology. It's a pathway for us to begin embodying our true potential and stepping into our highest selves. The focus must now shift from the problems and questions that have been presented throughout this video towards the solutions and opportunities that now lie within our grasp. This is a process of self-empowerment, where each of us can take responsibility for our own personal evolution. The key is to move past simple intellectual understanding and begin taking the practical steps towards experiencing this information for yourself. This is not just a theoretical idea, but a process of practical implementation. You now have access to ancient knowledge and the tools needed to begin taking control of your own life. You have been given the keys to unlocking your own power and the ability to move forward with agency and intention. This knowledge has been kept from the general population for centuries, if not millennia, and now you have been given the opportunity to experience it firsthand. Your very genes hold the secrets to your potential, and that potential can now be activated. It is up to each one of you to take the steps necessary to utilize this information, to step into your power, and to start creating the life that you have always dreamed of. You are now in the unique position to change not only your own life, but also to help change the lives of others. The time for asking the questions is now over, and the time for action has begun. Embrace your destiny, take hold of your power, and begin to create the world you have always desired. Now, the journey continues with new questions. What are the specific practices needed to unlock your hidden potential? What are the specific details of the genetic manipulation that led to the creation of Rh-negative blood? What is the true history of the antediluvian civilizations? These questions are your starting point for further exploration and research, and should encourage you to become an active participant in your own learning, rather than simply a passive consumer of information. These unanswered questions are a sign that the journey has only just begun, and that there is so much more for each of us to explore. The journey of self-discovery is an ongoing process, and that you must take responsibility for your continued learning and expansion of your understanding. There are many roads forward, and you have the ability to choose your own path with the information that you have been given. The implications of this knowledge extend far beyond the individual, pointing towards a collective awakening of human consciousness. The idea that Rh-negative blood may be an indicator of specific capabilities and spiritual potential also suggests that those who possess this trait have a unique role to play in the evolution of humanity. This is not to create a sense of separation, but rather to create a sense of responsibility. As more people awaken to their true potential and the collective understanding of our origins shifts, we are presented with the possibility of a profound transformation of human consciousness. The awakening of our collective consciousness is a journey that we must undertake together, and this will involve the active participation of each and every one of us. This shared awakening is the key to creating a world where there is more truth, more freedom, and more love for everyone. Share your experiences, your theories, and your questions in the comment section below. We are creating a community of explorers and truth seekers who are engaging in this process together. This is not just about individual awakening, it's about creating a space where people feel comfortable sharing their experiences, discussing their ideas, and learning together. By sharing our knowledge, we strengthen our collective understanding and create a new space for conscious inquiry and personal transformation. This is a call to action for you to take responsibility for your own personal journey and for you to participate in the collective awakening of humanity. Future videos will explore these ideas in even greater detail. We will delve deeper into specific esoteric practices, examine related scientific studies, and investigate the possibility of hidden elite lineages. There is so much more to uncover, and this is just the beginning. By continuing to engage with this material and by continuing on this journey, you will be able to discover the full extent of your own potential and to realize your true destiny. The journey has just begun, and there is much more to explore. Stay tuned, and thank you for listening.